Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
sirs.
Your name is?
Gunjita.
Gunjita, please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
And now take 2 minutes and introduce yourself.
So my name is Gunjita Agrawal. I come from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, where I have been born and brought up. I have done my graduation in BCom Honours from Bhopal itself. Currently, I am pursuing a course in public policy at Indian School of Public Policy, New Delhi. My interests and hobbies include watching tennis tournaments. I have also played cricket at college level. And the areas and the sectors which I look upon working are specifically education and women.
So this is your first
This is my
attempt.
first interview.
Very good.
It's not my first attempt, it's my first interview. This is my 5th attempt.
But what? While you were doing your BCom, you were writing the exam also?
Yes, sir. As soon as I graduated, I took on the first attempt.
And this public admin you are doing, how many years you have already spent there?
So it's a 1-year course and I have recently started it in 2022.
So in between you were not doing anything?
1 year I did voluntary work at an NGO called 𝐒𝐢𝐳𝐷. Other than that, I was fully preparing.
Preparing for this. All right. Pradeep.
Gunjita, what is the meaning of your name?
Sir, it origins from the Hindi word gunj and it means humming of bee.
Humming of bee, Gunjita.
Yes.
Okay, you were working in a which NGO?
Sir, 𝐒𝐢𝐳𝐷.
So you know about Gramin Shastra.
Yes, it used to provide education in government schools and it was also working with the Madhya Pradesh government to develop a learning outcome based module.
Have you seen the status of Panchayat in Madhya Pradesh?
Sir, I have not been able to visit many, but yes, I am aware about the status of panchayats in
How
Madhya
the
Pradesh.
system is working in Madhya Pradesh?
Sir, it was the first state to implement and the system has more or less been able to fulfill some of the goals, but
What are the goals, object of the Panchayat system? Why it was introduced? Because Madhya Pradesh was the one of the foremost state who introduced this system.
So it was to provide participatory governance at grassroots level and also to empower women at grassroots level by giving them 33% reservation.
Okay. Can you tell me what is the production of wheat in Madhya Pradesh? Because it is an agriculture-rich state and wheat is a gross issue in the time when the wheat production.
Sir, I am not aware about the exact number.
You know some varieties of wheat? Our state is very prominent in producing wheat.
Yes, sir. I am aware about the Sharbati wheat that comes from
That's
Sihor
everyone
region.
is, yes, Sharbati. What is the price of the Sharbati in market?
So last time I visited Sihor, it was rupees 32 per kg.
32
rupees 32 per kg.
32 per kg. Okay. What is the supporting price of the wheat government has fixed? Have you got some idea about the supporting price of wheat?
Yes, I am aware about the minimum support price that the government offers.
MSP?
Yes, but I am not aware about the exact number.
Okay. You belong to Bhopal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell me which is the lifeline of Madhya Pradesh, which river is called lifeline from Madhya Pradesh and why it is called?
So river Narmada is called the lifeline of Madhya Pradesh because it provides the fertility to the soil in the southern regions of Madhya Pradesh, and it is also important for the livelihood and sustainability of the people living around it.
Why not the Chambal is also a very big river? Why it is not called the lifeline of Madhya Pradesh? Why Narmada?
So Narmada flows through a larger area firstly. Chambal flows in the northernmost districts only, and Chambal has the valley of Chambal has ravines also, which make the fertile soil, which make the fertility of soil less rather than more.
That's true. Sociology was your subject.
Yes, sir.
What do you understand by social engineering? Are the political parties are doing right by the social engineering?
So social engineering is a technique whereby parties are coming up with programs to produce desired social results. For example,
So social engineering you mean is done with the only political parties, no other I mean, social organization do the social engineering?
No, sir. I believe everyone, even the organization, private organizations are also entering and doing social engineering techniques in order to fulfill their own objectives. Even the government of today uses this
Is it
technique.
bad or good in politics?
Sir, I believe if the intention is truly to provide
That is a political answer. What is the intention of the political party to get the vote?
if it is not costing the exchequer of the state, then it can be a right technique. But if it is done at the cost of the state funds, then I believe it is a wrong approach to get votes.
Now, considering Chambal and Narmada and their flow, what can be the highest point in Madhya Pradesh?
Yes, sir, I believe because Narmada is through the Vindhyan range and the highest point.
In basic geography,
Yes.
if the river is flowing into a certain direction, okay, does that give you any hint of the higher points in a terrain?
So the direction of flow can tell the point of origin of the river, and the point of origin could be the highest
Chalo,
point.
theek. You play tennis or watch tennis.
I watch tennis tournaments.
What has been the India's highest achievement in lawn tennis?
Mixed doubles, Mahesh Bhupati and Sania Mirza have been doing well, and
Even before that.
Leander Pace in 1996.
Even before that.
Sir, I'm not
No idea.
completely
Chalo.
right.
Okay. Do you think that sociology will help you in administration?
Yes, sir, definitely.
In what way?
Sir, using sociological approaches helps to
What are those
understand.
approaches?
For example, R.K. Martin has given a latent and a
No, go
manifest
through it.
approach.
Give me practical inputs.
Okay. So, understanding the role of different social groups, for example, the tribals, the disabled, the women, and their incentives in any policy is important for any policy to be successful. So, it helps build a holistic policy if we also consider the socially advantageous and socially disadvantaged groups.
While suppose if you are getting selected as a district magistrate,
Yes.
you will be doing social engineering or social justice.
Sir, I think it will be a mix of both, and
Mix of both.
I'll try to do social justice through social engineering.
So what is social engineering again? I come to the original question.
So it is using a particular policy or a program for a particular social group.
Chalo. My last question to you. Name the India's neighbor and one of the major issues that we have with them.
So starting from the west,
Your choice.
Pakistan is India's first neighbor, and the primary issue with them is the conflict over terrorism.
Fine.
The second neighbor is Afghanistan. The recent turmoil and the new Taliban government that has been formed has been an issue for India.
The government is an issue. Why?
So because India's policy was that the process of a government change should have been Afghan-owned, Afghan-controlled.
So it is.
But
Who says that they are not owned by Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled? They are all Afghans. Correct?
so they used force and violence to topple the existing government, which
Achha,
was.
chalo. ठीक है. Next.
The next is China. We have some major border disputes.
Okay.
And
Next.
next is Nepal, where there are concerns of democracy versus the communism, the political leadership
How it
concerns.
affects us?
So Nepal has been a historical ally for India, and if it shifts its relation towards China, we can face border disputes and border threats.
Next.
Next is Bhutan, with which more or less we have very cordial relations, but some environmental issues have been cropping up recently.
Next.
Next is Myanmar, where the human rights issue and the Rohingya issue has been a concern for India. Next is Sri Lanka, with which we share coastal border, and the economic crisis and its nearness to China is affecting our interest. Also, we share coastal border with Maldives.
Next.
Maldives, where again its shift and inclination towards China is impacting India.
All over, complete? Anything missing?
So Bangladesh.
Okay.
Bangladesh is taking over, is really doing well in the economic sector, and it has come
What
as a
is
challenge.
our issue with them? Do we have an issue with them?
Yes, so the migrant issue
Okay,
has
thank you.
been coming up.
Okay, Gunjita, tell me what is marginal utility and how it is related to progressive taxation?
So the concept of marginal utility means that the amount of utility or the satisfaction that we get after consuming one more unit of a product. And progressive taxation, if I may relate, as our income increases, the taxation also increases, which sometimes can impact the marginal utility which we are getting from an increase in income, because an equal share is being taken away as tax.
Okay. Do you believe that we will be able to doubling the income of the farmers in near future?
I believe if we take the right steps and right policy measures, we can
What
achieve.
are the right policy do you think of?
Sir, I believe MSP is a step in the right direction, and if we also increase it for millets and other horticultural products, we can also include the other farmers in the sector. Providing infrastructural facilities for food processing through cold storage and mega food park scheme can also help the farmers get an assurance of the sale of their products. So it can be more remunerative for them.
Suppose you have to double the income of the farmers in near 5 years, okay?
Yes,
in 5 years. So what should be the growth rate in agriculture?
Sir, I'll have to read upon it too.
Do you know the rule of 72?
No, sir, I'm not aware.
Okay, fine. What is your view on bringing agriculture income in tax regime?
Sir, I think putting a maximum ceiling limit and then bringing agricultural income under tax can be a positive step in terms of increased tax collection for the government, and also supporting the small and marginal farmers.
Okay. How to improve export in agriculture?
Sir, I think through focusing on sectors like marine agriculture, which is of high export value,
Okay.
and providing infrastructure for that. Also, by making a easy supply chain, we can ensure, and logistics hub, we can ensure that the agricultural products are able to reach the destination and the export destinations on time, and they are not spoiled or wasted in the transportation. The third would be by adding value to them through maybe fortification, or maybe making different products out of milk, out of basic wheat, grains, etc. Because fast food is a concept which is evolving in many countries, and we can capitalize on that.
Gunjita, tell me 5 principles which you follow in your life and which may be helpful for discharging your duty as administrator.
Yes, sir. So firstly, I believe dedication to any job that you're doing is relevant. Secondly, empathy is something that I have developed during my days at college with NSS. Thirdly, patience. to be able to deal with situations and to be able to respond is very necessary, because I think administrator gets challenges on an everyday basis. So the third would be utilization of funds as a principle that I have used, that the value for money and value for time should always be kept in mind when you're performing certain action. And the fifth one would be honesty. Honest to yourself and to the people you're working for.
Okay. In our independence movement, we had two important leaders. One is Mahatma Gandhi, one is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. One says, "तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आज़ादी दूंगा," and Mahatma Gandhi says, "Ahimsa Paramo Dharma." Which one, in your opinion, is a better leader and why?
Sir, I believe both of them have been exceptional leaders, and their approach might be different, but their goals were the same.
Still, you are given a chance to choose one.
Sir, I admire both the leaders, but of course, the way Gandhiji used a novel approach of non-violence to gather millions of masses is something that is inspirational to me.
Now, tell me, what are the glaring challenges in good governance in India?
Sir, firstly, the use of technology is not reaching on the last miles. If we want to provide good governance, we need to come up with governance models, grievance redressal mechanisms also. So technology is still a challenge in many government departments and ministries. First is that. Secondly, the role of administrators as being completely politically neutral sometimes affects the model of governance, because it can move towards a minority community which can benefit from their actions rather than the majority.
Achha, okay, now tell me, my last question. Now, since you were talking about the technology, how technology can assist you in good governance? Give me a few examples. How do you want to reach to the last mile with the help of technology?
Sir, I believe direct benefit transfer scheme.
That is already there. Okay. Direct benefit transfer can further be increased.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Secondly, the use of JAM model, Jan Dhan Aadhaar and Mobile Trinity, to plug in the loopholes in identity verification and subsidy can help get the benefit to the right beneficiary.
Right beneficiary. Good.
So thirdly, initiatives like CP Grams, where online redressal is there, can help in rural development.
Everybody can reach to the Prime Minister.
Yes, sir. It at least gives a sense of trust in the citizens that the government is there. And the portals like She for women, where you can file complaints for harassment.
Bharat Shri?
No, sir, She Box,
Okay.
sexual harassment of women. And online portals like Ujjwala are helping the marginalized sections like women who have been trafficked to reach out to the government directly in real time. So I think this is very important for good governance.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Gunjita,
Yes, sir.
you were talking about agriculture, doubling farmers' income, MSP. Now, when it comes to agricultural subsidies, we seem to have a problem now for conformity to the WTO system. You have read that or no? That why we can't spend more money on MSP, because then we might be violating the WTO norms. Are you aware?
Yes, sir, I'm aware about
You are
that.
aware. Now, all countries give subsidy to agriculture, right?
Yes, sir.
The Europeans give, the Americans give, the Australians, the Japanese, you name it. Now the subsidies given by the Europeans and the Americans and the Japanese, they are put in something called the green box subsidies.
Yes, sir.
But the subsidies we give are put in what is called an amber box. Now, what is the difference between a green box subsidy and an amber box subsidy?
So a green box subsidy is given to the other subsidies that are not trade distorting in nature.
So it's not a trade distorting subsidy.
Yes.
But why it's not a trade distorting subsidy? I want to ask that question because it seems that there has been a bit of an unfair approach in defining the developing country subsidies as actionable and the advanced countries subsidies as non-actionable. What do they do in terms of subsidization? The green box. What kind of subsidies they give? When you say not export distorting subsidies, what are those subsidies which are not export disrupting?
So they might include support, limited support to few industries like.
No, you see, for example, in your rural area,
Yes, sir.
you give them free water to everyone, you give them free electricity to everyone, you give them free education, free health care, unemployment benefit, disaster relief, you give everything and this becomes green box.
Yes, sir.
But the minute you buy crop at minimum price, it becomes amber box.
So I think it is because it affects the competitiveness of
So that
the
also
crop.
impact the competitiveness. Because if all your expenses have been covered by horizontal subsidization,
Yes, sir.
that means your capacity to lower your price will increase.
Yes, sir.
Now, in case the horizontal subsidies cover everything that I want to do, my child gets education free, I get healthcare free, my roads are free, my electricity is free, my water is free, everything is free. Now, which means I have much greater capacity to sell my product at a lower price.
Yes, sir.
Is that not exactly export distorting subsidies or trade distorting subsidies?
So WTO sees a government intervention in the market as something which is trade distorting.
No, but you didn't intervene in market strictly, but you intervene in everything leading up to the market,
Yes, sir.
right? So all back end is covered. Yes? What is the limit under WTO for a subsidy in amber box becoming actionable?
So it is more than 10% for developing countries.
And where do we stand?
So, sir, I'm not aware about it completely.
You mentioned about marine agriculture.
Yes, sir.
What do you have in mind?
So the export of shrimps, the creation of value from the marine resources.
And where do we stand in terms of marine product export, India? Are we a big exporter or we are a minor exporter?
So we are a big exporter.
We are a big exporter.
Yes.
And there also, what are the barriers we face? Or what are the difficulties in marine agriculture?
So there is no MSP currently for marine products. So
Fine. That's not a problem. If people could do without MSP, we should be happy, in fact. What are the challenges?
So the technology that we are using, the trawlers and the local.
We are using, or we means
the
what?
local fishermen.
They're using what trawlers are they using?
So they are using the mechanized trawlers. I'm not
What's
completely.
bad there? Good or bad?
So they're not able to catch as many fishes as they can with a better
So
technology.
which trawler they need to use?
Sir, I'm not completely aware about the technology, but
What else? In fact, generally it is said that in the Indian waters, the fish dies of age. What does it mean? The fish dies of old age.
see the fish coming at coast, we are not able to capture them on time.
We were not able to capture them when they were right to be
Right.
captured and they die.
Yes, sir.
Last point, Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose. Now, in any situation of conflict or dispute, there are two approaches primarily. There are many, but I'll just mention two. One is called the peaceful resolution of conflict, and the other is called use of force to resolve the conflict. Now, in terms of sequencing, where do you put resolution through peaceful means and resolution through use of force? Because UN permits both. UN Charter permits both resolution through peaceful negotiations and then use of force.
Yes, sir.
Now tell me, what is the sequencing?
Sir,
What comes first?
resolution by peace would come
Peaceful
first.
means first. So while both are useful, but peaceful
Comes.
negotiations come first,
Yes,
right?
sir.
War is not the first option, never. Use of force is never the first option. Yes?
Yes, sir.
So now you realize your option. I admire both, but I will exercise peaceful option as first option. If it doesn't work, I'll see. ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
Good luck.